It's a cold night in the east and in the deep south, the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, all sorts of frost and freeze warnings up. I got the fireplace turned on. We may have another round of severe weather, by the way, for areas in the lower Ohio and Tennessee Valley, as it turns out. And that would be for Thursday. And in the meantime, it's just nice and quiet with some lovely spring weather going on in the plains and in parts of the Southwest. Let's talk all about it and more on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And of course, you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by doing your Amazon shopping via our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board or on the description to this video. If you give us the support through the Amazon link, is why we don't run ads during the show. So it's very easy. Just link to Amazon via that referral link, do your shopping, and Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin, and it doesn't cost you a dime. And we appreciate those of you who have supported the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast in various ways uh, over the last number of years. We do. So,
We do, yes, we
yes.
do.
So
Joe,
this morning,
it's obvious that the growing season has begun, at least in
yes.
the five boroughs of New York, because there's a freeze warning in effect there. There's nothing like that up where I am, or in Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, or the entire Hudson Valley. So obviously, in my sector of the woods, the growing season has not officially begun. Otherwise, most assuredly, we'd be under a freeze warning here. We're expecting temperatures locally here tonight to drop into the upper and middle 20s. Brr.
Well, those farmers in Manhattan just really need to be
You
informed.
mean Oliver Wendell Douglas on his
Right.
penthouse?
Well,
Right.
a lot of people they grow stuff in their buildings, like on the rooftops. A lot of buildings down in Manhattan, a lot of residential buildings, they've got they made these gardens on some of their rooftops. So, who
Well, I
knows?
mean, like you and I grew up in the Bronx. When I was in Throgs Neck, my grandmother and grandfather had a tomato patch, and on the side of
Mhm.
the yard they used to grow strawberries and all other stuff, sort of stuff. So I guess if you are into that sort of thing and started already planting, you better do something because it's going to get cold even in the city tonight.
Yeah, down here too. I mean, we and even though we got to the middle and upper 80s on 2 days last week, we're going down to freezing or below here tonight in North Georgia. And I guess I, spoke too soon. I was looking at the upper air uh, for later this week, particularly for Thursday, when there's just going to be this diving shortwave that's going to come into the eastern states. I was sort of thinking that, okay, maybe there might be a scattered thunderstorm or two, but nothing severe. But the upper low coming down is pretty vigorous, and oddly enough, the it's so cold and dry here that instead of getting uh, thunderstorms that are going to be induced by tropical air, this is going to be an event that the Northeast sees in the spring, where you get these upper lows that come down and you get the low top thunderstorms with hail. That's probably what's going to happen uh, Thursday in places like Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, and these low top thunderstorms. They have the potential for producing some large hail, and the other risk I think is going to be a potential for some damaging winds.
Well, it and we see that a lot in April. Sometimes when they happen up here, the folks at the Weather Service will say this is the type of activity that could produce hailers, so to speak, little pea-sized hail to go along with the lightning and thunder, the convection, the low top convection. So yeah, this is the story that we're going to be looking at, and unseasonably chilly weather too. We're looking at readings that for the next several days, normal high temperature here in the Hudson Valley nowadays, Joe, should be in the upper 50s, and we may very well be hovering within a degree or two of 50 when we get to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then a nice warming trend. Once this disturbance lets go of the Northeast during Sunday, we'll see temperatures rise back into the upper 50s. And then 60s, well into the 60s, in fact, it looks like to me on Monday and Tuesday. In fact, Tuesday,
of
we may
next
even
week.
be starting with 70.
Well, once the upper, but in between all that, you're going to have this upper low, and I was also looking at the fact that I kind of like the Europeans' idea a bit better. We may actually wind up seeing a coastal low coming up Friday night into Saturday, into Saturday, and I'm still not totally convinced that Sunday's going to be improving because the upper low is going to be lingering, and you might have something sitting out there in the ocean. And I'll throw one more thing in there is the fact that we do have a full moon this weekend, and
Right.
there might be some, there may, depending on wind direction and how this all sets up, there could be some coastal flooding issues.
The pink full moon, as it's called in April. It won't look pink
Yes.
to the eye if you were able to see it, which you probably will not because of the cloud cover, but it's because of a flower known as the pink phlox, which apparently is in bloom nowadays. I don't, quite frankly, if it were up to me, I would never have called it the pink full moon. I would have called it the forsythia moon. Joe, the forsythia is busting out all over here
Oh,
in
and
the
they
Hudson.
just, I don't want to use the word smell because there's a negative connotation to it. But when the forsythias bloom and when the hyacinths bloom at the same time, you just have this aroma running through, your yard all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, the forsythias bloomed here a couple of weeks. They've been bloomed the last couple of weeks. I think they're still in the yellow because we're a good 3 weeks behind from where we're normally in the stage of the plants. I mean, I've got stuff and everything's greening up here, and the trees got their leaves, but a lot of the ground vegetation has been delayed because of the fact that the winter here was so cold.
It's uh, it's going to be tough though over the next. I mean, we've got bright sunshine tomorrow. Let's hang our hat on that. Sunshine. We had bright sunshine for much of the morning hours here. Then, because of instability, it clouded over during the afternoon. Tomorrow it'll be sunny from start to finish. Beautiful day, except still on the coolish side. And then again, the clouds taking over for Thursday and staying with us at least through Saturday, and if you're right, through most of Sunday as well. And
I think there's a
well,
chance it could even rain Sunday and get the rain to back in from the east.
well, I mentioned on Sunday a chance for some lingering showers early in the
Oh,
day.
Sal Blandino is going to have your head. He's been lecturing me about the fact that it's not going to rain Sunday, that I'm completely wrong.
Oh well,
Me.
Sal, I have to, weigh side with Joe in the thought that we may still have precipitation on Sunday, if anything, early in the day, and then hopefully things will start getting better during the afternoon. Hopefully.
Right. For those of you who don't know the inside, it's not really an inside joke. If you're on any of the New York metro area Facebook pages, you know who Sal Blandino is. Uh, he's a little touchy when it comes to clouds and rain. He thinks it should be, sunny 24/7, 365 if it was up to him. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight, and to those of you watching in the background. You can join the conversation on the chat board by simply subscribing to my YouTube channel using your Gmail account. And of course, if you do that, we'd make me happy. You can turn your notifications on so you don't miss the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is Sunday through Thursday at 7:35. And if there's a big storm going on, we'll throw in the occasional Friday and Saturday as well. If you like the show, hit the like button. And just a heads up for tomorrow night, we will be starting at 8 o'clock instead of 7:30 because Joe and I are going to be taping an episode of Weather Legends. Now, the show's not going to be live tomorrow, uh, as far as I know. My understanding is that we're going to be recording this, and once it's uploaded, I will share the link if you go to my YouTube channel and go on the community page where I post stuff during the day, I will post the YouTube link in there, and you might get a notification that link is up. So just to give you a heads up on that, James Spann is going to be on the show tomorrow night on the Legends show. So anyhow, let's get started, shall we?
Yes, sir. Surely.
Okay, it works for me. Let's go to the watches and warnings map. And I notice a few of you who watch or on the chat board that are from northern New England are enjoying some snow, and much of the state of Maine is under a winter weather advisory. This is the old front with the low offshore and the upper trough that's swinging across northern New England and southeastern Canada is the culprit. So you're getting a nice spring snowfall there of at least a few inches in some places. Still some wind advisories up in some areas down through New Hampshire and Massachusetts. We have, as Joe mentioned, the growing season, the freeze warnings that are up for the five boroughs of New York City and also for South Central Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, most of Virginia into North Carolina. Also, we have them up for Indiana, Ohio, west parts of West Virginia, much of Kentucky. Frost warnings and freeze advisories from western Tennessee into northern and central Alabama and northwest Georgia, including moi. Elsewhere, out in the west, really to the west, nothing much going on from the Mississippi River westward. It is fairly quiet. And here's the satellite loop tonight. You can see the system in the east, the northeast, up in northern New England. That's just uh, moving its way through, kind of chugging along. And we're already seeing some energy, some of it from the Pacific and most of it from Canada, that is going to be setting up the next weather system in the Northeast and Mid Atlantic states for Friday and into and possibly through the weekend in some places. Weather looks nice in North Florida. Clouds and on the coolish side in South Florida, some thunderstorms down in southernmost Florida that are now offshore. And you can see it's really lovely up and down much of the Mississippi and Ohio Valley, back from Texas westward to California and Nevada. And we've got a frontal system with from a storm out in the Pacific that is pushing inland into Washington and Oregon. And there we have on the radar some mountain snows and valley rains going on there. And here's the stuff in the Northeast. Actually, there's some fairly up in Maine, Joe. Radar's kind of active. You want to bring up the local radars up there and take a look?
Will do. If you, as long as I have sharing capabilities.
You will have that Fort Worth, which is south of Fort Worth. There you go. You
Okay.
now you now have sharing capabilities. So share away. I'm going to check the odds up in Maine in the meantime, so we can see what's going on over there.
Now, I hope I have the ability to get this because earlier today, at least on the satellite end of things, I was not able to get anything. But let's see if I can at least get the radar for Maine. Ah, yes, yes. All right. I'll get this is Portland, Maine, Gray, Maine, as it's sometimes referred to as. Now, I'm assuming, Joe, that in southern is this do you think snow or rain in
Let's see.
Portland?
Just look, Portland is cloudy and 30. I'm thinking it's probably all snow because I'm not seeing any reports of rain. Portland's just cloudy. Light snow in Bar Harbor. Uh, Wiscasset, 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 is moderate snow and 34. Light rain in Rockland, Maine, 35. Light snow in Lewiston, Auburn. It's a wonderful combination there. Light snow in 30. Augusta is moderate snow in 33. Waterville, light snow in three quarters, 34. Bangor is 35 with light snow and fog. And we've got moderate snow in Millinocket, Maine at 33. Just checking into New Hampshire. No, there's moderate snow in Berlin, New Hampshire, and uh, at a temperature of 29, and light snow in Whitefield, New Hampshire, with a temperature there of 27. And Mount Washington, by the way, has moderate snow, 7 degrees, dew point of 7. The wind is west at 51, gusting to 61.
Lovely. I wouldn't want to
Yes.
step outside right now in on Mount Washington. Um, yeah, so you can see that at least from the standpoint of Portland, Maine, the radar there showing a fair amount of precipitation falling across the southern half of the Pine Tree State. Uh, let's go. Uh, let's go up north to Caribou, and you can see that they also have precipitation. I'd like to also point out today is the 1 year anniversary of the great total eclipse of the sun, and last year the weather was turned completely upside down. Climatologically, it said you should be in Texas and the southern part of the eclipse track where skies were usually bright and sunny, and stay away from northern New England, upstate New York, the Canadian Maritimes. And as it turned out, as I said, everything was upside down. Texas and Arkansas, they were more or less clouded over. The place to be to see the eclipse because the skies were clear were the places that climatology said wouldn't be clear. Maine, for example, if the eclipse were today, you wouldn't have seen anything of it because of the clouds and the snow. But last year, beautifully clear. It was also clear with a few thin high clouds where I was in upstate New York in Plattsburgh, and it was also clear in Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. And it's anything but that there today. So thankfully, the eclipse was last year on this day and not this year because you wouldn't have seen anything if you were here in the northeastern part of the country. But there you see the snow falling across central and northern Maine, according to the Caribou radar, and also falling across adjacent across the border in New Brunswick. And I'm sure it's also falling in Nova Scotia as well.
By the way, Harold Olson, thank you for shopping on Amazon on the Amazon referral link. We appreciate your support. And on the chat board tonight, we also have Mike Waterhouse Bonsai. I think that was Mike Waterhouse Bonsai that is reporting moderate snow where he is up in the beautiful state of Maine. And I think a few other people here have mentioned it too, though I'm trying to skim through. Oh, it's all snow, Mike says. Good for you. Excellent. Uh, Nice to see that it's happening. Somebody's getting some snow since we couldn't get much of it during the winter months, but that's the way life is sometimes. Okay, let's run to the Storm Prediction Center and see what they're up to. And there's no severe weather being forecast either tonight or for tomorrow, so we're going to jump to day 3, which is Thursday into Friday. And they started this morning with this very small area of marginal risk in parts of Tennessee, southwest Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and northwest Alabama. And now they've expanded this all the way up into southern Indiana and southern Illinois, southeast Missouri, much of Arkansas, northern and central Mississippi, northern and central Alabama, and North Georgia, including me. And so quite busy. I think I mentioned Tennessee and Kentucky. Again, if I did, then it got mentioned twice. I would not be surprised, Joe, if they come up tomorrow that we see a slight risk added to this, because the upper low is going to be vigorous and amplifying. Um, not vigorous in the way sometimes you see it in the plains when we've had these big events, but it's going to be enough, and it's going to amplify. And again, these are sort of unusual circumstances because of the cold air around, especially aloft, that you're going to get these lower top thunderstorms, and usually in those you get hail and strong winds. Those are going to be your bigger risks.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is something that you tend to see at this particular time of the year, especially with these chilly and unstable air masses, these pools of unseasonably cool air that are associated with these upper lows that pass across the Great Lakes in the Northeast. And in this particular case, this one is further south. It's taking a more southerly track, which is why you mentioned, Joe, places south of here probably are in line for the low top convection.
There is some positive news in this and that. It's a one and done type of deal. This is just the upper low is going to swing through. It's not going to be a 4 day, torture. And of course, most of this area, you have storm fatigue. Let's put it that way, considering what you went through last week. So I'm not expecting any big rains. Um, if you're in the if you cut that severe weather in half, the eastern half may see more rain, which is on the order of a half to three quarters, and maybe in some convection it could be a little higher. But as you go to the western half of that, when you look in western Tennessee, for example, western Kentucky and Illinois, and points further west, we're looking at basically a quarter of an inch of rain or less. So there is you would like it if you didn't get any rain at all, but if you're going to get it, at least it's going to be on the light side. Meanwhile, inch and a half to 2 inch amounts are being forecast for eastern and central Pennsylvania down into Maryland and northeast Virginia, and some patches of an inch and a half plus in southern New York or southeastern New York, back through Connecticut, touching Long Island and northern New Jersey. We'll see what WPC does with this when we get a little bit closer. But mostly half to three quarter inches precip amounts from Maine down to Virginia, and then it just tails off there. Very little precip west of the Mississippi, with the exception of right along the Canadian border and back through Montana, where we're looking at areas of a half to three quarters of an inch. Again, that's over the next 7 days. So let's bring up the upper air and just kind of show you what's going on here. We've got a deep trough here in the east. The southern part of that trough extends down into the Gulf of Mexico. And as we go through tonight and tomorrow, you're going to see a short wave there up in North Dakota and Minnesota. And it starts to drop southward and amplify as it moves into the Ohio Valley. You see, there's a little upper low that closes off right on the Indiana-Illinois border. And eventually that trough goes north-south and cutoff tries to form somewhere in the Appalachians, and you see it here. So now we're up to Saturday. And the thing is that as we go into Sunday, that upper low is going to track off the Virginia Delaware coast, and it's moving kind of slowly. So I think that is going to create some issues, certainly with whatever rain that we did get later Friday into the first part of Saturday, but it may cause rain to linger, and depending on where the surface low is offshore, areas in southeastern New England, even southern New England back through coastal New Jersey, I think might have a chance of seeing some rain getting thrown back westward during Sunday. And then Joe mentioned, we mentioned about a warm up. When the upper low pulls out, we get some, a bit of a ridge there that pops in for a couple of days. But lo and behold, next Tuesday, here comes another deep trough into the eastern part of the United States. So that warm up might be a bit short lived.
It looks like on Tuesday we're going to have some kind of a weather front move on through. Could be a kind of a blend of cloud and sun, and also perhaps a shower. Also, the winds will pick up as well. As you can
Oh, there's
see,
a shocker.
look at that! Look at that cold air advection coming ramming back in here to replace the nice mild warm up of a day or two in time for the middle of next week. So yeah, that's a shocker, right?
Look at
The
this
way
trough. I mean, but look at the European, Joe. It's deep trough after deep trough. Here, this is the middle of April. Deep trough now. Another one that follows, for say late Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And as soon as that pulls out, here comes another one that drops down into covering the eastern part of the United States. I mean, if we had this pattern in January, uh, I mean, but no, we're getting it now, and everybody just wants
reminds me
wants us to
the way
all
these
go away.
the way these troughs and these upper lows are moving through so quickly. Kind of, I can almost hear, the woman in the candy factory yelling at Lucy and Ethel, "Speed it up a
Speed it
little."
up a little.
One after
What
another
was
after
the
another.
name of the candy factory?
Oh dear. Well, you would know. I wouldn't. I'm not a big I Love Lucy trivia buff. What
Kramer's
is
Candy Kitchen.
Kramer's Candy Kitchen? And the woman who said speed it up a little. You saw her in a lot of as a character actress in a lot of situation comedy. I even remember her like on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh
But
yeah.
I remember who I don't know the name of the actress, but
Oh, her name is on the tip of my tongue.
yes.
Uh, hold on. Uh, God. Uh, trying to Google this real fast.
I think she played at one time. She played one of Aunt B's on the Andrew Griffith Show. One of her friends.
Yeah. Um, let's see if I can get the name. Yeah, I knew it started with an E. Elvia Allman.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, she gets a footnote in Lucille Ball. She was yeah, and Harold Olson said she was the ballet instructor in another episode of Lucy.
no, that was Barry Wicks.
Mary Wicks.
That
Now
was Barry Wicks
maybe
in
I'm
that
confusing
episode.
Mary Wicks with the woman who said speed it up a little.
Yeah, they kind of look alike. But
Yeah,
Wicks was in the ballet episode,
yeah,
and also Elvia. Now I closed the page and I forgot the last name. She was in the she was in the Candy episode, and then she was
right,
in an episode later on, the one where um, uh, Lucy, they think that he thinks there's these postcards to Minnie Finch,
right,
and it turns that they're getting sent from the uh, nightclub is sending it out as a publicity stunt to everybody, asking them all these women that have been to the club, asking them to go there on Saturday night for a date with Ricky Ricardo, and it turns
right.
out that they're all these old ladies. So anyway, that's Elvira appears in that episode. Never mind. Let's move on. Uh, so here's
Somebody said James Davidson, by the way, says April is always most of the time a very crummy month, which reminds me of the opening line of T.S. Eliot's poem "The Wasteland," where he says April is the cruelest month, and in some ways, in terms of weather, yeah, he was absolutely right.
yeah. Well, and I've said for years, s- spring, particularly in the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states, it's just a miserable time of year. Certainly the first, certainly at least through mid-May. Okay. After that, it tends to get a bit better, but excuse me, but for the most part, it's a miserable time of year. So with all the energy piling into the east, we could temperatures are going to moderate on Thursday because the cold air pulls out to some extent, but we're going to see maybe chance for maybe a shower late Thursday or Thursday night. But the bulk of the energy will be coming when that upper low starts to form in the Appalachians, and you see the surface low there in western North Carolina, which eventually just kind of translates to the coast, and an area of rain develops in the Carolinas and Virginia, and even some bands of heavier rain, and they push northward. But with the upper low lingering, the Europeans been trying to hint at this. It's got another surface low that forms off the coast of North Carolina. Now, most times, something like this slides out to the east, particularly in the winter months, because there's much more movement in the upper atmosphere, and weather systems are sort of forced to move along. Whereas it tends to be a bit more blocky in the spring. So the thing to watch out for, you get this first round of rain Friday night into Saturday morning, and then you're sitting in gloom and doom. The thing to watch out for on the Sunday is, where is that surface low going to be, and where is the upper low going to be? Because the European actually does try to arc back some rain westward during Sunday, first in southeastern New England, and then over Long Island, and just kind of touching coastal New Jersey. So we're going to have to watch to see if this winds up getting perhaps pinned a little bit more to the northwest, which would prolong the rain. Then a quick warm up, another weather front that comes through Monday night on the European or early Tuesday. Another shot of cold air comes in, and then another front that will go at the end of next week, and then maybe another system. So, it's a busy weather pattern. overall. And unfortunately, if you're looking for warm weather, other than the odd day here and there in this type of pattern, I think much of the time temperatures are going to be near or below average, uh, probably for the next couple of weeks. And the new European weeklies, Joe, have that idea right through mid-May
and maybe even beyond.
and
That
possibly beyond.
we'll see.
Yep. All right, let's do. I got Briller Jeopardy here, so let's get that done. Uh, la 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 la. Okay. Um, Tonight it's the average lows, Joe. Average lows in the month of April. Okay. Are you
I,
ready? Is the chat board ready?
I do terrible with lows.
I do
I do much
too.
better with highs.
I do much better with highs as well. Um, anyhow, um, Indianapolis, Indiana, Joe.
Now this is the average low
The
temperature.
average low for the month of April.
I'm going to take I'll say 42.
Oh, oh, just so very close. That's a good guess. Harold Olson and Vincent Croce bang it right there at 43, Joe. Give him a bell ring.
I'm giving him a bell ring right now.
Let him
They
let
are.
him have it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. How about 36?
Ring the bell for yourself, Joe. 36 it is.
You see also John Melander with 36. So John, you and I are both getting it there.
New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans, New Orleans. Uh, I'm going to say I have no clue. Uh, how about 54?
Oh, that's way too low. James Davidson got it though, and Patrick Darcy and Jason Fox, 62. 62.
62. Wow.
Give them a bell ring.
Well, if it's 62, I wonder what the average high is in New Orleans at this time of the year. What, 75, 77?
Yeah, maybe yeah, mid to upper 70s. Um, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Yeah.
Philadelphia.
How about 44?
How about you ring the bell for yourself, Joe?
Again?
Again,
Wow.
yes, you're doing well.
Latex Dreams
Oh,
got 44 too.
I don't do so good with lows.
You're doing
Um,
pretty good.
Richmond, Virginia.
47?
Oh wow, you would have got Patrick Darcy gets it at 46.
Wow.
So close. You could have gotten three. I hold the record that one night. What did I get? Four?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got 4 out of 5. And the bonus tonight is Concord, New Hampshire.
Concord. All right. I will say 38.
Not a bad guess. It's a little too high. It's a little too high. Maggie P is
Jason
very
Fox
close
has
at
36.
Maggie P is close at 32. And
Same with Rich
Frank
Rosmansky.
Scalera is close at 34. The numbers are coming in so quickly that and Brady G 111 at 33. Let's ring the bell for Brady G
There you go, Brady
and Mike
G.
Waterhouse Bonsai. Okay, so that kind of covers it for tonight. I made some salmon for dinner tonight. Nice piece of salmon. They put it in the
We have
cast iron skillet and in the oven for 15 minutes so that it was sort of. I like it. I don't like. I like salmon to be slightly undercooked. Okay, I don't like it cooked well at all because then it's just dry. But when it's slightly undercooked, it has a nice. And this was coho salmon, so it has a nice buttery taste to it. Meat was
I do
very
want to
good.
just I want to have a somewhat of a rebuttal because Tyler Fenga on the chat board, this is many minutes ago, making the comment when we were talking about the solar eclipse last year, said, how overhyped was it? Well, here in New York, well, if you were here in New York, you may remember all of the electronic highway signs warning people, telling people that the eclipse was on April the 8th and saying, arrive early, stay late, because there were tremendous traffic jams trying to get up into the totality zone. And for us, I tell people, I said, we went to Plattsburgh, and from here to Plattsburgh, it was 4 hours. We left on Sunday. Took us 4 hours to get there. No big deal. That was typical. 4 hours up and 8 hours back. The traffic jams were like incredible trying to get back or get back home out of the eclipse track. But I just want to show everybody, Joe. This was taken by my daughter. This was what is this? Hold on for a second. Hold on. Oh, okay. This was a time lapse that she took with her iPhone of the eclipse, showing what it looked like. And so I'll start the time lapse right now, and you're gonna see the shadow. The shadow of the moon is gonna sweep in from the west. Here's the sun. As you can see, we had high, thin clouds in the sky during the eclipse, but the shadow is going to approach from this area and then rapidly move up over us, and then the back edge you're going to see coming from the same direction going on out. The time lapse actually does not do it justice. It doesn't really. I guess the camera was compensating or trying to compensate for the darkness that fell. It got much darker than what you see here in the time lapse, and you'll also see the planet Venus pop up as a little dot of light here during the total phase. But here, take a look. This is the final few minutes before totality. Watch for the shadow. Here it's coming now of the moon. Woof! Here it is. And here's Venus. You can see that here. Here's the sun, overexposed corona. Woof! And that was that. So it was an amazing 3 minutes and 33 seconds of total eclipse. And that again occurred 1 year ago. And really, you in order for you to get a better handle, you really have to see it to believe it. It was truly an amazing sight. I just want to run it one more. Let me just run it one more time at a larger scale here, so you can maybe appreciate it a little bit better. And again, this was taken with an iPhone. Woof! There you see the shadow. Well, it reminded me of that soap opera, The Edge of Night, the opening to The Edge of Night. Dun 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 dun. Anyway, so that was it. That was 1 year ago. And again, if it had happened this year, nobody would have seen anything because it was cloudy up there today, and I'm sure also up in Plattsburgh it's probably snowing as well. Oh well.
Well, that was really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we're done. Don't forget 8 o'clock tomorrow night, folks, not 7:30, 8 o'clock. And when the Legends show is ready to is up on YouTube, I will put the link up on the if it's up before we're on, I will put it up on the community page. If I get the link during the show, I'll put it up on the chat board. And if it's after the show, I'll put it up on the community page. So we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Night, night.
And Christopedia, no, I'm not going to. First of all, the next one is next year, August of 2026. I'm not going to Iceland. I'm going to be on a ship in the Balearic Sea near Spain to see that next one. So, anyway,
Very
see you
good.
tomorrow night, folks.
Bye.